Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I am speaking with Casey McQuillen. She has just released a fantastic new record called Skinny, and I am super excited to talk to her all about it. Casey, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy holiday season to be here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulously. I've got my Christmas tree behind me. I'm wearing green. I'm feeling prepared to go into this holiday weekend.
Lovely. I'm sitting behind a white wall and I've got a black shirt on, super festive. So I
Love
think
that.
we're on the same level of
Perfect.
holiday spirit. You have this new album out, and it's awesome. And I've listened to it twice at this point, and I'm
Oh,
probably gonna
yay.
go back for more. I really,
Yay.
really enjoy it. And for me, it definitely feels like a more lyric forward record that you're expressing yourself in personal situations. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I want to hear it from you. Like, what is this record about? What inspired it? Give me all the good stuff.
See, I want to hear it from you because I hear myself talk about the album all the time. Like,
Well,
do you think about it?
my opinion doesn't matter.
So this album I made predominantly with my producer, who I work with very closely and
Got
have
it.
for 10 years, my producer named Charles Humanry. He produced every song on the album, and we work very
Nice.
collaboratively
Sure.
and closely together. And there's also a few songs on the album that were co-written with a good friend of mine. So it
Nice.
was, but, and then so about a third of the album was a co-write with just this one person. Then a third of the album I wrote alone. And I had the same people mix the entire album. A wonderfully talented gentleman named Robin Byer.
Nice.
And I think even you might have noticed that the album jumps genres a little bit.
Yes.
I have a repulsion of being pinholed by. I think it's so fascinating. I really look at my songs individually. And I really
Sure.
just, I always just want to do what's best for that one song. And that kind of goes against the way we're told to brand right now. You're supposed to like pick a lane and stick with it forever.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
they're
also,
wrong,
well,
just in my opinion.
they're right in certain ways, right? It's like, what's your goal? What's your goal?
I
And
guess.
so if your goal, like, you know what I mean? And there's value to different choices. Something I ran up against a couple years ago before this album came out is people kept being like, you don't sound enough like, who do you sound like? You need mimic Katy Perry, mimic Adele, mimic, like, you need to sound just like somebody else so I can pitch you as the new X.
Got it.
And I think that in the short term that could be really effective, right? And
Yeah,
I
but
also
you're
think,
trying to brand yourself.
correct. Now
So
listen, there
you
are
want
some
people to say
people,
this sound like you.
that's my goal, right? But
Right.
I also think like there are some people that their authentic artistic expression causes them to sound pretty similar to Adele or pretty
Sure.
similar to, that hasn't been my experience. I tend to like write and then real, it's like it's like my child. I'm like, oh, what's the best life for this child?
Yeah.
I don't want to base it on what I chose, what we helped achieve for the other child. And so what I think to me is really special about this album is that I think because I wrote all the songs, I sang on all the music, Charles produced all the songs, Robin mixed every song. It jumps within pop, it jumps genre, and
Yeah.
I think it feels cohesive regardless.
Yeah.
I think
You're
about
it's almost as if you're reading my notes on my screen right now. I'm not even joking. I mean, we can
good.
talk about this more in depth, but I'm not going to stop you, so please go.
And I think I that's something I really enjoyed about the album, and I
Mhm.
enjoy. I hope my fans enjoy listening to it. Is that, you know, there are different sections of the album for different vibes. Like
Yeah.
there are songs on my album that if you're getting ready for the girls with the girls to go out, do not put that song on. You will cry. But
Sure.
there's like four songs that you can listen to and like pump up, and there's songs to play for your therapist.
Yeah.
There's songs, right? And so I feel really lucky that I was working with a very intimate creative team that I've known for a very long time. Who, you know, when we started working together, we were all just kids who
Yeah.
had just graduated music schools and were figuring it out. And what's really exciting is like we all kind of evolved a little bit together and
Mhm.
matured. And I think it gives having so much history with all of these people, I think really allowed a certain level of trust and flexibility in the creative process. So I'm really proud of it.
You
But
should
yeah,
be.
thank you. We called the album Skinny, which is actually the most recently written song on the album.
Oh.
And the song was going to be called Can a Heart Go Bad? The album was going to be called Can a Heart Go Bad, which is the other very deep song that I have on the album. It's a song
Mhm.
about mental health issues. And I wrote Skinny. I co-wrote Skinny with my friend Hadley, who I co-wrote In and Out with and Taste with as well.
Got it.
And it was kind of like right before the album came out. Like we rush produced the song because I was playing it out on stage. I was touring.
Mm,
And it's always a good sign. Like I sang that song on stage the day I wrote it,
that's
which you're not, which
rare.
which you're not supposed to do.
Right. No, totally.
And I
It's
cried
yeah,
on stage,
sure.
obviously singing it. But it gave me this feeling. If anyone hasn't heard the album, it's a song about body dysmorphia. And particularly in my experience, what the song means to me is I gained weight during the pandemic and went from being perceived as a thin person to not a thin person. Listen, I still have a lot of mid-sized privilege. I have like body shape privilege. But there's a lot of privilege when you're a pretty thin young woman. And
Oh
I
yeah.
lost a lot of that I went into the pandemic young and thin, and I came out not that young and not that thin. And it was really emotionally difficult for me. And the point of the song is that, yes, I am treated differently by the outside world, but much more problematically, I am treating myself differently. What happened was, like, it's a true story. In my first day out, like, 6 weeks on the dot of my vaccination, me and my girlfriends finally go out to the bars.
Right.
And I had last time I'd walked into those bars, I was 27 and skinny. And then I walked into the bars 29 and not skinny. And it was a different experience. And I was out with my thin friends and they were getting, I'm really outgoing. I talk to every guy I thought, I don't wait for people to come talk to me. I talk to every guy I thought was cute. And
Sure.
when I was younger and thinner, man, that worked. And it was not working. And not only was it not working, but it was really working for my skinny friends. And anyone who has been the curvier girl in the group knows that when your skinny friends are like, "Oh my god, no, you're beautiful. No, that's not it." It's like, no, it is. Like, I'm not crazy. I know what it is.
Sure. I mean,
But
it feels like that's just how the public perceives people, and there's,
yes,
as much
and
acceptance and this and that. It hasn't changed the
it's
rhetoric.
complicated because you also see these women, myself included, who I also like think I'm great. It's funny. I sing this song, and then all these like amazing old ladies come up to me, and they're like, "You're beautiful," and I'm like, "Thank you." But then these old men come up to me and they're like, "Don't worry, like I think you're sexy." And I'm like, "I was never worried about that.
You're
That is
not my, yeah,
this is not a song
demographic.
about me being desperate for more male validation. Like this is a
Right.
song about me trying to redefine my own validation outside
Absolutely.
of the male gaze." And it's just really funny how like sometimes I'll sing the song and like older men will like center themselves in the narrative of the song and be like, "Oh no, don't worry. You still have worth because I find you attractive." And it's like, "No,
Right.
that's not what this song is about."
And how normal of just a guy to put himself in the middle of your situation.
I know. But I think
Yeah.
what's funny is people will come up to me and be so kind. And it's I wrote that song in a very vulnerable moment.
Yeah, of course.
But what's interesting is I also think I'm great. That's the funny thing about insecurities and confidence and body
Hmm.
dysmorphia and all these things is um sometimes they say like it's confidence. You just got to be confident. And that is
Sure.
true. I think if you really own your space and people can feel that you love yourself, that actually is a lot of how you're perceived.
Absolutely.
However, it is a lot harder to love yourself when the world is giving you subtle messages that you shouldn't. And I think that's something that this song is about for me. It's like fighting for that self-love
Okay.
when it's harder to do it. I'm not making up my experience being different. It's really different. It
Of course
actually
not.
is different. But I think a lot of the narrative we're hearing right now is like, it's all about confidence, ladies. You just need to love yourself. And I know what they're saying. They're saying the thing you can control is confidence.
Sure.
Love yourself, and things will be better if you do. But I think what's missing from that narrative is it was a lot easier for me to be confident in my appearance when I fit all of society's standards of it. It
Of
was not
course.
something I ever thought about.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I hope that when people listen to this, they actually take the time to connect the dots within your words.
right.
It's tough nowadays because, and it goes back to what you're saying about like this record does jump genres in a
Mhm.
way, but it stays within the realm of pop.
Mhm.
I think so many people listen to music for how it makes them feel and like not necessarily disregard the words, but people put on music to feel good or to escape or
Yep.
whatever it is. And there's such a small percentage of people that are like listening and connecting. And it's like,
Well,
this is
you
the
know
type of
what?
music that you should be doing that with.
People are busy. And I always say this. It's like
Yeah, but they still find the time to listen
I'm a
to music.
lyricist.
Yeah,
Like it's funny that I've been on American Idol and I've done these like
right.
have had these vocal forward successes
Sure.
because I just look at my voice as an opportunity for me to dispense my lyrics.
Right.
That's I care about singing and performing because of the trust it builds with me and the fact that if when I open my mouth and sing, people listen because it
Yeah,
sounds good.
sure.
And so,
No, of
but I don't
course.
really care. Like
Yeah,
like I do care, but I don't like that's not why I'm in it. If
of
I wasn't a
course.
songwriter, I don't think I'd be a singer independently from that. And something that I say to my team is the song has to be catchy enough that when it pops up on their Discover Weekly and they're driving to work and they spilled their coffee and they're looking around and did I miss my turn and blah blah blah. But it's catchy and there was something about it, so they save
Right.
it. But then on their drive home 3 days later, it comes up on their liked songs because they liked it. They didn't listen, they didn't have the time.
Sure.
I can tell you this, I do not, I'm a literal professional songwriter and I don't listen to my Discover Weekly. I don't sit down in a quiet
Wow.
room. Right? I do that with Taylor Swift's new album, but I don't do it. It's an earned privilege to have
I
that
get it.
that much attention. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
what I try to do is earn that attention through melody and the craft of recording
Right.
and then cement the relationship through the lyrics. That's my goal, you
Yeah,
know?
well, you have to make a personal connection, and obviously this is as personal as it gets.
Right.
I fully get what you're saying, and as like, I mean, my literal job is to listen to music all day.
That's
I
nice.
respect you for doing that because it not to like totally inflate your ego, but I'm going to.
Yeah, do
It
it.
fully no, it's fully like it fully it shows you off and displays your talent as like a well-rounded artist.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you're a singer and a lyricist, but it goes past that. You've obviously like cracked the code in a way to make it like exactly what you just explained. Like, yeah, you suck them in with the catchiness and the melodies and whatever, like turns our brain on. But then when they actually take the time to listen, they're like, oh yeah, she actually has something to say. And
Right.
I'm a fan because of this person. Like that's
Right.
how you create a fan base and a community of people nowadays.
Right, which can be exhausting, by the way, as
Oh yeah,
somebody
there's nothing easy about being an
who
artist in any
yeah,
medium.
you can feel like a repulsion to having to sell because something that's ironic is the commercialization of authenticity that's going on right now,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
how opposite those two things are from each other.
Fully.
And as a young millennial, I feel like I'm at this point where I'm like, engaging with Gen Z culture, but I'm also picking up on some of the inherent absurdity that comes from this curated authenticity
Sure.
that is and going on. And I have a very difficult time engaging with it.
Yeah. As a fellow 29-year-old myself,
Right.
I feel yeah, and it feels disingenuous at times.
And so it's like for me, I like a kind of opposite of Gen Z. I really like to think a lot about what I'm going to say before I say it. And I'll say the craziest, honest things, but I want to make sure I mean it. And something like speaking about like having to earn the attention of
Yeah.
people. And like with my recordings, I try to do that with punchy pop stuff.
Right.
And another huge aspect of my career is working as an opener. I've had the privilege of opening for some really big artists recently,
Yeah.
and the way that I run my opening career, I think, is a little different than maybe some other artists, in which like we take about a third of my time slot and commit it to storytelling, like jokes and storytelling, because they're not there to see me. They're waiting for their favorite artist to come on. Should we go to the bathroom? Where's Susie? Oh, she's getting drinks. Like they are not there to see me.
Yeah, that's the
And
toughest part of being an opener.
right, but I feel
Yeah.
like I've been doing a pretty good job. One, I've been just lucky with
Yeah.
these great fan bases that I've
Sure.
been exposed to. But
Right.
the trick is I like explain the song Skinny to a room of 2,000 people I've never met. And people are like, whoa, like I cannot believe she just said that on stage. But it's like,
Yeah.
listen, if I'm going to ask you to engage with this, I need to show up first because it is not your job to like me. It's my job to make you like me.
Oh, fully. No, it's true. It's true.
But like talk about, but I've had all this experience. Like when I was younger, my two kind of like cutting my teeth experiences where I was a wedding band singer for a little
Oh,
while.
nice.
And what I really learned from that is talk about it not being about you. Like you are just a faceless person
Yeah.
whose job it is to make somebody the most important day of somebody else's life great.
Yeah. It's almost a thankless job. Like if you screw up, it's
Yeah.
your fault, but if you do a great job, then you did your job and you
Well,
can.
you know what though? It's like there's nothing more motivating to learn to get you to be a good performer when like the look on a bride's face when nobody's dancing.
Yeah.
Like you will go
Yeah.
out and pull grandpa up and sing Katy Perry to grandpa
Right.
because you're like, oh, but I think what's really hard is when your name is in lights and you're singing your songs that are about your heart and it's your voice and it's your guitar and your mom's backstage and it's photos of you. It's not about you.
No.
But it's really hard to have it feel like it's not about you when it says Casey McQuillen. Like, it feels like it's
Course.
about you, but it's
Yeah.
not. And so I feel like the experience of being a wedding singer at the start of my career really allowed me to engage audiences from the perspective that this is not about me.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's like, listen, I'm not if they're talking over my song, it's because I did not do a good enough job catching their attention. It is
True.
they are not a bad audience. I did not crack this what this audience's needs were to listen to me. And like it is similarly, I run an anti-bullying program in schools with kids. I've been
Hmm.
doing it for like 10 years. I played for like 40,000 kids, done hundreds of schools, and it's not about me, right? It's about these kids and their experience in school and their emotional connection, all these things. And I feel like having those two experiences of like really having audiences that were in front of me, large audiences, but I was the main focus. It was not like I'm a bar musician in the background. I'm the main focus,
Sure,
but it's
sure.
still not about me.
Yeah.
Really influence the way that I make music and perform now.
You're right. It's a fine line, but it sounds
It
like you're
is.
figuring it out. Obviously, you've progressed enough to this point,
Not to say
and
that
it's
if I
just
come
like,
off stage and on a Friday night in Scotland and they were all drinking and yelling, do I come off stage and turn to my mom and be like, that was so annoying? Like, yeah, I do. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
of
But
course.
I'm on stage trying to reframe. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to do it. I don't succeed at every minute of every day
Of
of
course
doing
not.
that. But I try to do it that way.
Everything's a story, everything's an experience, and it turns into maybe something you'll write, or just like, yeah, I'm living a totally different life from 99.9% of the world,
I
and
think about that all the
it's
time.
pretty damn cool, I gotta say.
It is cool.
Um, I want to know though, because I think you may actually be my last interview of this year. And so this is a
Okay.
very fitting question. What does the next year of your life look like? What are some lofty goals that you'd like to hit? Or even some definitive things that you have happening that you're allowed to talk about? Because I know
How
that can get.
honest should I be?
I mean, yeah, there's no rules here. I make the rules. You do whatever you
You know, I
want.
think I think that's one of the things I actually really struggle with is setting
Mhm,
lofty enough goals.
mhm.
Having gone to Berklee College of Music, all
Yeah.
of my friends are like just as good as me, if not actively better.
Yeah, I can't imagine going
And
to that school
so
experience like that.
it's like crazy because
Yeah.
it's really hard to have sometimes for me to tap into the cockiness
Mhm.
that is required to do this job well, like the extreme
Totally.
egotism that comes from being like, I wrote this, everybody listen to it. Like that's can be difficult for me to do.
Right.
I don't really have that kind of I'm the kind of artist that's like, please validate me, not like I'm amazing. Like listen to me. Like those are the two
Sure.
people who do this, and I'm the other side. And that's why I've been very lucky to have such a great team, such a great manager, because I feel like I have to surround myself with people who have loftier dreams than me. Like
Yeah.
that they see me, they see it as possible, they see it as inevitable. And so, you know, my goals this year, I really want to go back to the UK and do some more big tours.
Nice.
Um, I'm gonna be recording a bunch of new music and putting it out. I really want to crack the Spotify
Of
playlists. I want
course.
to. I was on Sirius XM. I want to go after um, indie top 40. I want like and then you have the loftier goals that are like, I want to keep pushing Skinny
Yeah.
and and have it break societally in the way that I low key think that song could and should. Like I think I feel emotionally ready to go on the Today Show and talk about how damaging all pop or all over pop culture is. And like I'm ready. Like I'm happy to do it. Like I
You've
want to
got the
do that.
voice. I'll validate you right now. Like if I was flipping channels and you came up and you were talking about something, you bet your ass I would not change the channel. I
I
would be
hope
like, oh,
so.
what does she
And
have to say?
and I feel
Command it.
like a very like literal goal of mine is I really want to do my first late night TV performance.
Oh yeah.
So we have some, it's interesting because I'm at a point in my career where I'm I'm chasing down these opportunities. Like I will do what needs to be done in order for
Right.
this to happen. But the things that I really enjoy doing are like touring and meeting people in
Of
person.
course.
But will I go on reality TV? Will I like do press? Will I go to red carpets? Will I do these things that I don't really that aren't like why I'm doing this? Yeah, I'll do it if it gets me to get on more tours. So it's like I'm really thinking about like what I want is for lots and lots and more people to hear the album
Yes.
and
Primary
and
goal.
I will do whatever exposure opportunities need to happen in order for that to happen.
I think that's a
Um,
great answer. Obviously, there are like things that you know are going to happen, but yeah, you have to think further in a way. I love that. It's a great
but
attitude to have.
it's helpful to have a team. I have my
Oh, of
manager Nick
course.
Howard is fantastic, and like the
Yeah.
James tour, he submitted me to open for James Morrison, who is this
Awesome.
really huge artist in the UK, and
Yeah.
to between us, he kind of submitted just to get a sense of like how early in the process I would get rejected. I know that sounds crazy, but he's
No.
one of the most famous artists in the United Kingdom,
Sure.
playing the most iconic venues in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
And so we were like, the best part about having a manager is they only tell you the good news. It's the best. I don't have
Yeah.
to get all the negatives that he gets every day
Exactly.
because he can accept the negatives and not take them to heart. Whereas for me,
Of
getting
course.
no's, it just hurts, you know?
I
And
understand.
and so sometimes he'll tell me when I almost get things, if it's a really good sign, like
Yeah.
it's like, oh shit, we almost got that. Like that's
Right.
wild. And he told me when I was shortlisted for the James tour, and he was like, you are not gonna believe this. You were, and then it was like a week later, it was like, I think it's a short list. Like they want a stage plot. Like
Right.
this, and then he called me and he was like, what are you doing in March? Because I think you got 30 dates in England coming up. And
I
it was like,
love that.
but that's like, I don't think I would have submitted myself. I
Sure.
needed somebody who could like
Yeah,
take
it
the
helps to
ego
have
out.
that team.
Yeah. And believe and
Absolutely.
be like, well, she's absolutely good enough to do this. So why not submit her? Whereas
Right.
I'd be like, why would they ever consider me?
Yeah, it's
You
a weird
know?
it's a weird blend of confidence and this and that. Um,
Yeah.
Casey, I have one more question for you,
Yes,
and
please.
basically the question is like, for the person that is going to discover you from this, what is an
Hi.
opening hello, what is an opening message that you'd like to tell them before they listen to your record for the first time?
Oh my God. I'm just gonna say the first thing that pops into my mind, probably after
Yeah,
this conversation.
that's okay.
Um, Thank you so much for giving me some of your precious time of your life. There's so little of it, and there's so much media in the world. And the fact that you would even go to Spotify right now and pull up this album and give it a chance to an artist who is indie and is trying to make it happen. It just means the world to me. And thank you for being that kind of person who is open to art, because if it weren't for people like you, there would be no hope for people like me. And so I really appreciate it.
Ooh, that was beautiful. I'm not even joking. I feel like I've heard it all at this point. That was really great. Um, Casey, hey, I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time and to also
Thank
let you know
you.
that this particular interview has been such a breath of fresh air
Oh, thank
because
you.
so many of the other ones not necessarily feel scripted, but they just feel very thought out in advance. So this was great.
Nope, not thought
This was
out.
great and
I just come
sincere.
I just come
No,
on podcasts and say the craziest stuff every
that's what I
time.
prefer. I love that. Please let me plug your music for you one more time.
Yes,
If you
thank
guys
you.
didn't catch it the first time around, the record is called Skinny. This is Casey McQuillen, but don't worry, we will have the links in our article so that you can listen and share and follow along. And it sounds like there's a million things coming up in the new year. So this is the perfect time to hop on the bandwagon and just follow along and see what's happening.
Can I say one?
I'm
Can,
invested. Please,
Yay!
please.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah,
So
go
this
for
is
it.
something I say on stage, right? It's all about the art of the ask, like being vulnerable. So a
Yeah.
lot of people who are listeners to music don't know that if you like an artist, it's amazing if you follow them on Instagram and TikTok, all that stuff. That is great. But the best thing you can do for them, especially an indie artist, is follow them on Apple Music or Spotify, whichever one you use,
Yeah.
because what that tells Spotify is, hello, she's a real person. And it really helps. And it's so, a message to any
So
artists who
easy.
are listening to this, from our perspective, we know it's so vital that the fact that somebody doesn't do it, you're like, well, they must not have wanted to. I started saying this on stage, and my follows went
Yeah.
from, I was playing to, like, let's say I'm playing with 1,000 people. My follows went from like 50 a night to like 400 a night.
People need to be told what to do because,
They just didn't know. They didn't
they
know.
didn't know, and it's like I said, people listen to music for enjoyment, but they don't think about the people
No, and they're
behind.
like, oh my God, I'm going to follow you on Instagram. And I know that's them saying, I'm
Right.
invested. And so what I started saying is, thank you
Go
so
one
much
step
for that.
more.
If you'd be willing, will you follow me on Spotify? I'm trying to get Spotify to notice I'm the
Right.
same.
I'm alive, I'm
To
here.
put me on your playlist instead of Justin Bieber. And that is a really high bar for me to get
Yeah,
to. And so that's the way you can help. So anyway, to people listening, if you're a fan, that's a great way to engage. And if you're an artist, don't be afraid to be like really clear with your audience
totally.
about what you need from them, because if they're not going to do it, they weren't going to do anything.
Sure.
Right? Like they're just not engaged, and that's fine. But you'd be surprised, people are going on their dad's Spotify and going, and their moms and their uncle,
Yeah,
like
it's a real
people,
thing.
they want to know how to help.
Yep,
So I will say, please follow me on Spotify.
I love that. Well, listen to that, and, Casey, if I don't talk to you by the end of the year, I hope you have an amazing new year,
Yes,
and
happy New Year.
thank you so much again, this has been great.
Amazing. Hopefully I'll see you next time I'm in LA.
Yeah, hit me up, I'll be here. Talk to you
Perfect.
later.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
hon. Talk to you soon.